what fascinates me is that the scientists, and I mean astrophysicists, the bigger they get, the more respectful they become of a God, of a creator, because they understand that all these things they find out were already in place. And the more you delve into the mysteries of the things that are real, of the things that are tangible and observable and justifiable, the more you understand that there are some things that can't be understood. Amen. With the laws that we've used before. Because the way we humans wrote down the laws, they were based on presumptions, on assumptions that were simply not true at all. They weren't even exact. So that's why these new geniuses, these new advanced astrophysicists come up with new equations, with new variables, with new terms and terminology for their formulas, because they have to consider things that the people before them did not consider. Partly because they didn't think the world was made up that way, and partly because they didn't even think about thinking in that direction. All I'm trying to say is, if we are taught that atheism or deism is so probable and so convincing because we don't want to be stupid blind lambs that follow what anybody says, even though we still listen to political propaganda from the East and the West and neoliberal, neocolonial stuff and whatnot. And we're still not feminists. So you get it. Politically, we're still completely brainwashed and conditioned, psychologically, sociologically. But at least theologically, we think that, okay, we're enlightened here in the West, I'm speaking in Germany, but I'm speaking in English so that also people outside of Germany understand what I'm saying without me having to translate it with subtitles. So if we think that atheism and deism is much more logical, then we don't take into account all these discoveries and all the reasoning of these astrophysicists that have changed over the course of the years. For example, Steve Hawking, who said that later on his discoveries led him to believe that there must have been a creator. And then he saw even more, I don't know what it was, I think it was black holes, which pushed him to say no, because it was not a unique discovery, the black hole. I take back what I say. But then there were people like Einstein saying that there must be a God, and they were really devout, or at least fearful. So I'm just postulating, I'm just saying that believing in a creator of the universe is the most logical, the most rational, the most probable, the most realistic, and the most pragmatic thing to do. Whether you're a scientist, a biologist, or an artist, or whatever you do, whatever your profession and your passions are. Because man had created a lot of inventions. And at some point, we wanted things to run themselves. That's why we are trying to find in the West, in Europe, a perpetuum mobile, meaning something that moves by itself forever. It didn't work because you always need something that starts it, a prime mover. Automobile means self-moving because it was supposed to be better than a horse or train because it moves by itself. Technically, it's not true. It hasn't been realized because you still need somebody behind the wheel to start the car, to start the engine. So we always need a key. Or two keys if you're modern and you have a supercar. Or maybe you push a button now, additionally to using a key. So we always need something that starts whatever we created. Even when we create programs. Now we enter information technology. You always need something that starts the program and something that writes the code. Now when we write the code, we predict the behavior and we create the limitations of the certain program the software, that we've designed. Now, when we do that, it's not intelligent. It doesn't think by itself. Now we think with artificial intelligence. We've gone a step further, and now it can learn and adapt and grow and change its behavior and do new things that were not initially programmed, meaning that we allowed the room for potential to be realized and to grow. Even then, that thing did not create itself. And even when a robot creates another robot, that first robot was created by us. So everything we know, whether it's from nature, a bird coming out of an egg which comes from another bird, or a fruit coming from a tree which comes from another fruit, everything has a creation. Everything was created, everything was either created or was carried out. For example, we could call the woman the creator of the human being, but we can also equally call it the conduct of the human being, because spiritually, at least the soul, traveled through the womb and it's gotten the nutrients to form a body with the nutrients of the mother before the mother conceives the child. All I'm saying, in short, is nothing moves by itself. Nothing moves out of its own volition or is created because it just wants to be created. We always say kids haven't asked to be born, so take care of them. Exactly. In the same way, the world hasn't asked to be created because it was just the will of a God, the will of a supreme being that exists and operates on a higher plane than the things it's created. You don't create your equals, you create things that are lesser than you because they come from you. So all your flaws as a human, when we talk about programs that cause bugs, are only possible because we are erroneous beings that make mistakes. That's why us humans, but also the animals, also everything that exists on Earth and the universe, has a hint, has traces of divinity. That's the pantheism that is embedded in Christianity, because we're created by a holy being.